Siamo qui con la prima conferenza stampa con i presidenti di giuria. Chiaramente attendiamo le vostre domande. Possiamo cominciare noi con una domanda. Sapete benissimo che il tempo a disposizione non è molto, quindi per favore alzate la mano se avete delle domande, altrimenti, come dire, libereremo il prima possibile i presidenti. E vogliamo cominciare, Giulia, con Venezia Immersive.
Sì. Yeah. I'd like to ask the president of Venice Immersive Jury, how would, based on the awards that the jury gave, how would you describe, the state of what's happening into the in immersive technology and language?
Sorry, I speak in Mandarin, and there will be an interpreter. OK， 这一次有28个作品，然后各有各种不同的类型，有360影片，也有 installation， 也有 six stop。然后我们最后从28个作品里面选出了3个作品，这是非常非常困难的一个选择，因为各种类型都有。然后最后我们跟三位评审就是充分的讨论大概5个小时。然后这5个小时，我们有了一些共识，然后我们从5个方面在讨论这个 immersive 的作品，一个是technical achievement、immersive experience、storytelling、unique personality and artist value。从这5个方面来选我们心目中最好的作品。然后，尤其因为威尼斯影展，它的这个单元是非常重要的一个单元，在全世界的 immersive world 里面是非常重要的单元。Yeah.
Jonas, tu insieme al tuo gruppo al tuo gruppo di lavoro, che cinema hai trovato? Cosa ti ha sorpreso di questa selezione? Che, come dire, sulla carta è quella più sperimentale, quella che può permettersi, ecco, un linguaggio di ricerca. Che cosa hai trovato? Cosa ti ha colpito?
Abbiamo trovato una proposta molto interessante, tutti i film erano diversi tra di loro, alcuni sorprendenti, e diciamo che abbiamo trovato, come filo rouge una voglia di raccontare il proprio paese in questo momento storico. Diciamo che tutti sono film molto attuali. Alla fine questo ci ha colpito molto, è una cosa che ci è piaciuta tantissimo e credo che sia un buon punto di partenza per il nuovo cinema, tra virgolette.
Ci sono già delle domande? Alice? L'idea è che una giuria che scelga la migliore opera prima abbia forse una responsabilità in più, perché deve, come dire, riconoscere il talento di un giovane autore, quindi, come dire, è una responsabilità particolare, ecco, come avete lavorato in questo senso?
Avec une profonde entente, un profond regard sur le cinéma que nous partagions avec tous les membres du jury. Et ça, c'était vraiment quelque chose de magnifique. J'avais vraiment une grande confiance dans notre idée, dans ce qui nous meut en tant que cinéaste, parce qu'on est tous des cinéastes dans ce jury, et les envies de cinéma qu'on avait étaient très partagées, très communes, partagées, très communes. On a vu 26 films, donc c'est vraiment très intéressant d'avoir un panorama aussi vaste de la jeune création contemporaine. Et je crois que ce qui nous a animés, c'est les désirs de révéler en fait la promesse d'un réalisateur, et c'est et de façon évidente le film que nous avons primé porte vraiment les germes de ce qui sera un grand cinéaste. Je pense qu'on en est tous convaincus. C'est un film qui est très ancré en fait dans une réalité particulière à Taïwan, mais qui en fait est un film extrêmement universel, et il confirme l'idée que le langage du cinéma est quelque chose de profondément partagé. C'est un film que nous avons primé à l'unanimité, parce que nous avons reconnu, même dans ses fragilités, une foi dans ce que peut être le cinéma, et le cinéma peut être encore et aussi un art de l'épure, et c'est ce que ce film nous a dit avec une grande puissance.
I have a question for Damien. more than other years, it seemed to me as we were working on the, you know, on the selection for the main competition, that films were really very different. I mean, they were wildly different from each other. And I was wondering what were the challenges in this particular year selection. You have been in Venice yourself with, you know, with 2 films. And what did you find that our selection communicated about the state of cinema?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all struck by the range of films. I think we were also struck by the range of reactions that even the same film could produce. I think it was a sort of fascinating microcosm of how, you know, we speak of the language of cinema, but in so many ways, everyone has their own approach to that language, not just as filmmakers, but as viewers as well. So what I really took from the experience, beyond just being lucky enough to watch such a stimulating array of films and some truly wonderful films, was how, you know, how passionate, wide-ranging, even fierce at times, the discussions and debates stimulated by those films could be. So I think you know, memory-wise, I think I'm taking memories from quite a few of the films that I was lucky enough to see during the festival. I definitely also taken memories from conversations, debates that I was lucky enough to have with a jury that, again, I said this opening day, but again, I just felt lucky to be a member of.
Avete delle domande?
Ci sono domande, altrimenti ringraziamo i presidenti di giuria per il lavoro svolto. Grazie, buona serata a tutti. E siamo qui con i premiati di Venice Immersive, anche in questo caso se ci sono domande alzate la mano e in realtà vorremmo chiedere un commento a ciascuno di voi su questo successo. Io comincerei da Flow di Adrian Lockman. È un progetto sul vento per parlare della realtà, ecco da dove arriva questa idea.
The idea comes from, actually all my ideas come from what I watch around me, not necessarily stories or people, but mainly nature and physical events. And I wanted to make a film about the wind for a long time already, or an experience. But for a long time I didn't know how, until I came across a publicity poster with a car with the aerodynamic lines around it. And I thought, like, if I take away the car, then you will still see that the car was there because the lines have traced it. And that was the start of the visual concept, actually. And from there, I continued to develop a style and a story as well, to turn it really into an experience.
Céline, perché questo linguaggio era quello migliore per, come dire, per raccontare, per mostrare questa dialettica tra corpo e mente, tra fisica e metafisica? Perché questo linguaggio era quello migliore?
Well, the idea was to make everything that's visible to us invisible, and the air that's around us, which is very important to us in many ways. We take energy from it. It can be dangerous in the forms of tornadoes, and we breathe it as well. So I wanted to make it visible. And the style, I couldn't think of another style. I had to try to paint with the wind in a certain way, paint with the air. And that is what I tried. It took a long time before I got there, but finally.
And Slay.
Well, my experience is called Songs for Passerby, and I think working with virtual reality was very inspiring because somehow the audience gets to make this journey between a dreamscape, some kind of mind-like place, and we use 3D cameras on the audience's body, so they meet their own bodies inside the experience as a kind of passerby. So to me, they're really like a mind looking at themselves, so mind looking at their own body, feeling a bit outside of themselves, and to me, that's really touching, this melancholy feeling of looking at yourself in the middle of a world that is passing you by all the time. So that's why it's, to me, this language about a contrast between the body and the mind, or a contrast between me in this kind of luminal space, in this infinite space, looking down at the world that is materialized and going by. So that's, yeah.
Marion e Hélène, il cuore del vostro lavoro invece è la relazione poetica, possiamo dire, tra ciò che si perde, ciò che perdiamo e ciò che invece resta. Ecco, che è un concetto che avete sviluppato anche a partire da dati molto reali e anche autobiografici.
Yeah, what it was, it just born like with my personal story, because it's inspired by the story of my father and our relationship, and also because he lost the ability to speak. So the words were not exactly what they look like. Like sometimes his words are jumbled, and he cannot sometimes he says something else than what he really want to say. So when I understood that, when I was looking at him working with his speech therapist, I saw that there was some link between the absurd words I was thinking he was telling and some memories we had together. That's what I really understood one time, and I was thinking, yeah, it's weird, like maybe it's not so absurd, and maybe when I feel like maybe he's crazy, maybe it's not. Maybe he's there, he's understand everything, but he can. Well, the doctors told me one day what happened to him and how it works for him to communicate. And they say me, he understood everything, but it's like he can decode completely, but he cannot encode. So it's really like he understands everything, but he cannot really say what he wants to say. So that has been like about this link with the words that we have all together and that manage our relationship together. When it's broken, it's so complicated to keep the link between your family, which is your father, your mother. So in this way, it was, I wanted to try to figure out how it could work another way. Did I forget something?
I think we went from there and tried to see if we could find a way to investigate what was left of the connection when the connection of words and language was broken, and it was interesting to discover how much emotion was hiding behind an emotional connection was hiding behind the mistakes he was making, because it allowed us to realize how much he was still trying to make sense, but it was an emotional connection, not a logical one.
Ci sono delle domande?
Capoliloro sono addicted to virtual immersive, so I've seen the three of you, and of course I've seen the previous one of Damen, Euridice. So it looks like that Songs for Passerbys is quite an evolution of that project, and I want to find out what have changed strictly in technology to be possible that kind of journey. And to Lachman, my question is about the music that is such important and the feeling of freedom that you have doing this extraordinary experience. And finally, I'm sorry, but it was the last one that I've seen. And I'm sorry because I would have liked seen more than once. It's the strongest thing that I've seen so far. I don't know how did you get that emotional thing. I was crying maybe for 2 hours after I went into that things. So I would find out how did you just think to create this project, and if you think that it could be sold, because I think that most people possible have to see what immersive can do. Thank you.
Who begins? So many questions.
Adrian, you want to start about the music?
The music? Yeah. It's true, the music is very important. Because there is no dialogue, so the music and the sound design as well, and both are equally important, I guess. And sometimes sound design even gets musical as well. So one flows literally into the other. And the music kind of lifts you up and takes you with the wind. I always work in a very close relationship with the composer Erik Stok from the start. So I don't finish a film or an experience and then we add the music. It's from the start that I work with the music. I make little tests, I send them to him. He makes bits of music, sends them to them. I adapt my animations. So it's kind of a tennis play between us right until the end. And same counts for the sound design. I already start immediately because I have to know whether the images I make any sense, because they're so abstract. Without the sound, you lose the sense. So you need a sound really to understand what you're watching. That's about, yeah, the music gives it a soul, it gives a body from start to end.
Could you repeat the question once more for me? Because
riassumi però perché era molto lunga.
Putting in Paragon with the previous project, there is quite an evolution. Sorry.
Yeah, last year I was in the selection with my piece Eurydice, A Descent into Infinity, and in that piece we also used this non-Euclidean spaces where you can travel from space to space, and by the walking of the audience they see several scenes behind each other, so they need to walk around every corner to discover the new scenes that they experience. And for me, it was really a very beautiful adventure to start with a second piece so fast after Eurydice, because we were still touring Eurydice and then started already on Songs for a Passerby. And we wanted to keep some of the structure that is there in Eurydice, but at the same time, we wanted to create a whole different universe. And I think there is a comparison between the two in the themes also that we cover. It's just the themes that interest us so much. So Eurydice was about death, and I think this piece maybe speaks more of maybe also a love of life, and still has this very melancholic and lonely feeling about it. And I think that's in both of the pieces very relevant. And to be there a bit like little sisters, or at least this is the youngest sister now, but they share some of the DNA very much, and we are going to present them as a diptych too. They have the same length and the same floor space that we use, so they can be very beautifully presented together as well.
Mm-hmm.
And to try to answer your question, thank you first of all for the feedback. When Marion told me about her father's story, and that she had a project, it was really interesting because there was yet no form to the project. There were a lot of ideas, and I was wondering, how do you want to present this? And it was mostly text and ideas and photographs, and she comes from, we both come from cinema, and she's a set designer, and the way that she works is she presents pictures and inspirations, and she started showing me this kind of physical mood board, and I sort of realized that the idea was to try to get inside her father's mind, and I brought up VR as a possible medium, and we kind of realized this could be very powerful to explore the empathy, the immersive empathy of the medium, and we just started working from there. It's been quite a long journey in terms of writing and getting it to the result it's at today, but I hope that answers your question.
E congratulazioni allora ai vincitori, molte grazie. Thank you very much.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Don't forget the line.
Allora, siamo qui con la giuria, con i premiati Orizzonti e Leone del Futuro, proprio Venezia Opera Prima. Ci sono già delle domande da parte vostra? Sì, c'è una domanda lì e poi qui. Prego.
Gracias. My question is for Margarita Rosa de Francisco. She is Colombian. And hola Margarita, acá. Carol Guerrero de W Radio Colombia. Margarita, felicitaciones.
Gracias.
Y por favor, ¿nos puedes decir qué representa para ti este importante galardón?
Bueno, ha sido una sorpresa. Yo no sé si debería sentir un poco de vergüenza de no saber esto. Yo no sabía que en la categoría Horizonte premiaban a los actores. Pensé que solamente premiaban las películas. Y yo me había ido ya, estaba a punto de abordar el avión haciendo escala en Londres, y antes de montarme al avión me llamaron a decirme que había obtenido este premio, y es la hora que no lo creo todavía. Por supuesto que es un gran honor, un gran sueño cumplido, poder merecer, no sé, no me gusta mucho esa palabra, pero poder acceder a un honor tan grande. Gracias.
Anniko Nabai, Hungary, and I see that smile. Gabor, we are extremely I cannot tell you how proud we are. Absolutely wonderful achievement, and I would like to ask you two questions. Number one, this room is not familiar with the history of making of this film and how the government and the government agency, the National Film Fund, was against this movie all along. So it's a, excuse me? So it's a huge achievement. That's number one. Number two, now that you won, do you think it will change the course of the film and it may be nominated or entered for the Academy Award by the same body that was so against this movie?
Thank you. To the second question, I think it's impossible because today maybe we know that there is another movie called The Coyote for Soul. I think, I don't know the English name of that movie. So, Coyote négy lelke. But I never accepted things like that. Of course, when we shoot the movie and in the post process and till now, but so tonight I really still could not believe that it's happening with me and with our crew, because I always have to tell that I'm not alone. All of the crew did a beautiful job, and because it's not a regular movie. I mean, we shoot in 20 days with 17 people, and it was an incredible shooting. We were really fast, and I loved it to do it. It was the most memorable shooting in my life. And what was your first question? The political situation, and I honestly I didn't know too much about politics, and I think the National Film Fund is not against to us. It's just rejected, and this movie is about a little bit how important the communication. And it could be also a message to the Film Fund that somehow they need to start the communication, because in this case we will do a lot of beautiful independent movies. I mean, like this. Not just me, my friends, my film director's friends, and yeah, that's it. The Oscars, it's impossible because there is another movie. I think I already answered it. Yeah.
C'era una domanda lì.
Sì, una domanda per il Leone del Futuro a Leon Chi. Volevo sapere se questo premio, cosa significhi per lui questo premio e se lo responsabilizzi in modo particolare per la sua prospettiva, diciamo, di filmografia e di carriera. Grazie.
是的，但是我希望未来拍摄的方式会越来越有纪律的，会有越来越多的一个大制作的一个方面。因为这一次我们拍摄其实就是5个人、10个人，然后我们就拍了。但是我是希望我永远保持我对电影的那个初衷。 这个东西是在小时候产生的，所以我希望我永远用这样的方式，一直不断的去玩电影，我们认真的玩电影。
Ci sono altre domande?
Io avevo una domanda per Alain Perroni e sono qua, al tavolo.
Ok, ciao.
Quando abbiamo visto il film per la selezione io sono rimasta colpitissima dalla freschezza della voce. C'è un modo di fare cinema sull'Italia e sui giovani in Italia completamente diverso. E volevo sapere un pochino quali sono le tue influenze, cioè mi sembra già un modo di parlare già molto internazionale, nel senso migliore della parola, e quindi se hai voglia di parlare poi chiaramente su cosa significa questo premio per te.
Sì, diciamo che appunto le influenze sono un po' difficili da delimitare perché siamo una generazione che comunque è cresciuta con l'audiovisivo forse più di qualsiasi altra generazione ci ha preceduto, quindi le influenze vanno da film magari dei grandi autori, ma anche dagli anime, dalla televisione, insomma siamo stati educati tantissimo dall'audiovisivo, forse più degli adulti, forse più delle persone, dei professori che avevamo insomma a scuola, quindi mi sembrava il modo più naturale poi per esprimere qualcosa, no? E il film, se di primo impatto può sembrare un film sulla periferia romana, in realtà è un film più sulla periferia del linguaggio, se vogliamo, un film più che riflette proprio sulla nostra educazione al linguaggio e alle storie. E questo premio lo ritengo veramente, veramente importante perché un'opera prima parte sempre con pochissimi mezzi e soprattutto spesso si può tendere a voler compiacere magari tutti, dimostrare qualcosa, no? Quindi anche con pochi mezzi uno cerca di dimostrare, invece con tutta la squadra che sono praticamente quasi tutti coetanei abbiamo in realtà voluto essere più sinceri possibile e più naturali, insomma, cioè cercando di riconoscerci tutti nell'opera piuttosto che cercare di fare un'opera prima canonica, quindi insomma è una voce super importante e quindi sono estremamente grato. Grazie.
Mika Gustafsson, il suo film è un inno, un omaggio, una lettera d'amore alla sorellanza e racconta il percorso di crescita di queste ragazzine che, come dire, veramente si dibattono tra un senso forte di libertà ma anche di disperazione. Da dove nasce questa storia e cosa racconta qualcosa di molto personale.
Thank you so much for the question. The source for the story, I totally think it comes from my longing for these pictures, for these characters, for these female characters, who can be both, I mean, they are aggressive but very tender and very funny and also have a great inner life. And to be a woman and to be all of that, it felt so important. And yeah, I really, I think that was the core of also making a film about kids, young people that you take seriously, and really let them have an you know, existential inner life. So I think the longing for this picture was really what started this film. Yeah.
Domande? Prego.
Mr. Gustafsson, I have watched your films by very coincidence. So I'm very curious about why you just to express your feelings from child and their relationship, because it was very complex. And finally, it was like reach a very friendly results. So I think it's some of the process is very like a lot of contribution, but in the end, it was very pretty harmony. So how would you think your structure of the film?
Yeah, it's for you.
Sorry, can sorry, I thought you were, can you take it again? I'm really sorry.
Film, so from the beginning, I think it was maybe a very, the end would be a disaster or very like disappointing, but the end of the film is pretty like harmony, very happy, like a very happy ending. But there are a lot of like conflicts in the film. The relationships are very struggle. So yeah, that's out of imagination because we just think, by the way, that will be the ending will be very like make us very like how to say their relationship not so good, but the ending is very harmony. So how do you think in your script writing? How do you think to figure out this kind of like results?
I don't know. I think the ending is quite, for me, it's quite open. And I think for me, should I say the end scene? No. No, but there is this ceremonies through the film, right? There is about these three sisters. They are 7, 12, and 16. And we also have these ceremonies that, you know, splits, you know, you go from childhood to preteen and preteen to teen and adulthood. And I think for me, these ceremonies are symbols of this change of time. And for me, the film is also to hang on to time and try to stay in what's been and almost like a memory. And I think when Steffi, the youngest one, when she loses her tooth and she put it in liquor and she swallowed it. For me, that is like, you know, being proud of who you are and you know, swallow that and keep it and being proud of, you know, the people that you grew up with, who made you who you are. And it's more about that for me than the plot-wise. It's more a celebration to the people that you grow up with. And it doesn't matter if they are good people or bad people or how things was. It's a love celebration for that and to be proud of it, even how. So that's more for me, like this feeling, or to say like you and I, we had something and it means something. Yeah.
Enrico Maria, sul palco durante la premiazione dicevi non mi sono mai pensato, non mi sono mai percepito come uno sceneggiatore, invece la forza di questo film dipende da tante cose, naturalmente, come dicevi, l'interpretazione di questi due straordinari attori, ma come dire, da una scrittura invece molto precisa e molto puntuale e quindi ecco, alla luce di questo premio forse potrai riconsiderare il tuo essere anche uno sceneggiatore.
Ma lo riconsidero volentieri. Quello che volevo dire è che non mi sono mai sentito, diciamo, a mio agio nella categoria, nel senso del mestiere dello sceneggiatore, che è una cosa un po' diversa e per la quale ho chiaramente un grande rispetto, e in un certo senso oggi ancora di più, perché io ci ho messo quasi 7 anni a scrivere questo film, ci ho messo 7 settimane a girarlo. Certamente non voglio dire con questo che il lavoro di regia sia più facile, però su questo film, diciamo, ricevere questo premio dopo uno sforzo così prolungato nel tempo per farlo evolvere, perché potesse convincere, mi fa particolarmente piacere, e penso che, appunto, come è stato detto più volte sul palco, questo è un momento in cui la scrittura, diciamo, no, a livello mondiale ha bisogno di essere difesa. Quindi sono molto, diciamo, solidale con quello che sta succedendo negli Stati Uniti, che succede anche da noi, anche se noi non facciamo lo sciopero. Io torno qui dopo 10 anni con un film più personale, e volevo tanto che fosse più personale proprio perché la prima volta mi sentivo in una situazione un po' ibrida. Era un film a cui avevo dato tanto, però non era, diciamo, un'opera prima pienamente libera, e quindi aspiravo ad avere questa libertà, a prendermi fino in fondo la responsabilità delle mie scelte, e ho creduto che per farlo dovessi essere da solo nella scrittura. Diciamo, è stata una scelta un po' drastica, che sicuramente, appunto, ha contribuito al fatto che è stato un processo molto lungo, però è anche grazie a questa lunghezza e alle numerose sterzate che abbiamo avuto nel percorso che credo siamo arrivati a fare un film molto narrativo in un certo senso, ma dove la narrazione è anche storta, prende delle pieghe un po' strane strutturalmente, dove qualcuno potrebbe storcere il naso, e credo è quello che dobbiamo augurarci, perché questo è il segreto per sfuggire alla dittatura, no? Dei modelli, diciamo. Ecco, io credo che dal festival possano arrivare molti input per sfuggire alla dittatura dei modelli.
E allora ringraziamo e ci congratuliamo naturalmente con tutti i vincitori, e grazie dei vostri commenti.
Grazie.
Hello? There you go.
Allora, ci sono già delle domande? Così vedo solo telefoni ma non mani. Prego, cominciamo con una domanda lì.
Sì, una domanda per Matteo Garrone. Complimenti, l'Italia. Sono qui.
Scusa.
Sono qui. Ecco, complimenti, l'Italia premiata, un film importante, è un film politico questo?
Ma è un film che, come sai, racconta fondamentalmente di un'ingiustizia, quindi è un film che ha a che fare con un tema che riguarda un'ingiustizia profonda e che racconta di un viaggio di questi ragazzi visti dal loro punto di vista, che sono costretti a rischiare la vita perché in realtà non possono fare come i loro coetanei che vengono nei loro paesi in vacanza. Quindi in realtà affronta un tema etico di ingiustizia, di violazione dei diritti umani proprio basilari, e quindi di conseguenza lascio poi quello che mi interessava raccontare era il viaggio visto dalla loro angolazione, dal loro punto di vista, dall'interno, per far rivivere poi allo spettatore l'esperienza che vivono loro, che sono dei veri, a mio avviso, dei veri e propri eroi contemporanei, perché il loro viaggio è un viaggio epico e loro sono i portatori, gli unici portatori oggi dell'epica contemporanea.
Yes, a question for Mr. Garon here.
God.
Here. Thank you very much for this beautiful film. Congratulations. My question would be, what reaction do you expect from Europe after your film? And I have a question for Sédou. Sédou, bravo.
Merci beaucoup.
C'est magnifique, tu interprètes magnifiquement ce jeune homme. Et j'ai une question. Tout à l'heure, vous étiez très ému pendant la cérémonie. Qu'est-ce que vous aimeriez dire aujourd'hui à l'Assemblée devant les journalistes internationaux? Merci.
Parto io e la domanda, scusa, la prima com'era?
What reaction would you expect from Europe after your film?
Ma questo non so dirti, quello che spero è che questo film in qualche modo, grazie all'aiuto di Seydou, che ha fatto un'interpretazione straordinaria, e di chi in qualche modo mi ha aiutato a ricostruire questo viaggio, quello che spero è che dia a chi vedrà il film una prospettiva diversa dall'interno, e che quindi lo possa emozionare, lo possa aiutare a vedere da un'angolazione inedita un viaggio. Quello che ci abbiamo cercato di fare fondamentalmente è stato quello di cercare di dare forma visiva a una parte di viaggio che di solito non si conosce. Spero che emozioni, che tocchi il cuore delle persone, e l'interpretazione di Seydou, così pura, così cristallina, secondo me va dritta al cuore, quindi sono molto fiducioso che il film in qualche modo arriverà a un pubblico trasversale, popolare. Poi c'è un problema, che non abbiamo fatto venire la traduttrice per Seydou, quindi devi fargli una domanda più semplice, perché o se no dobbiamo chiamare Jamie, se c'è da qualche parte, no? Che è la persona che traduce dal Wolof a Seydou, perché provaci, ma
Proviamo a semplificare la domanda.
più semplifiche la...
In English and then in French.
in francese.
Donc Sédou, quel serait votre message, ce que vous auriez aimé dire sur scène tout à l'heure pendant la cérémonie?
Je suis vraiment content et felice parce que c'est la première fois que je fais un film et je suis vraiment content de ce prix et de faire un film avec Matteo Garrone.
E sulla responsabilità del viaggio, l'esperienza che hanno fatto dei migranti.
Ouais, ça me fait plaisir de jouer ce rôle parce que ça me fait plaisir de faire le film et de montrer exactement les immigrants et de montrer exactement ce qui se passe dans le désert et sur la mer, vraiment.
Allora, c'è una
Sì.
domanda qui davanti e poi...
Hi, Niels Jakob from Denmark. There's a question for Yorgos Lanthimos. Your film reunites you both with Emma Stone and, of course, Tony McNamara from The Favourite. So could you talk about how that project informed this one and what made you decide to work together again?
Well, I mean, it wasn't difficult. I just think he's an incredible actor, but also the fact that we worked so well together while making The Favourite, and also, as soon as I mentioned this film to her, even just from the first few words I spoke to her about the novel, Alistair Gray's novel, and the film that I was intending to do, she immediately got very excited, and really she was on board since then, and that's how she became a producer on the film as well, and she was part of the process throughout, from reading early drafts of the script to discussing the people that we were going to work with, other actors, how we were building the world. She was part of everything, and I think somehow it informed how she was going to put herself in that character as well. Yeah, we just keep working together.
Domanda là in fondo.
This is a question for Mr. Yorgos Lanthimos. Congratulations on the award. This could be the beginning of an intense awards season for you and the film. I would like to ask you about this possibility of this being the beginning of the awards season for you, and of course the absence, at least now, of Emma Stone due to the strike. How do you feel about her not being here and not helping to promote the film at this point? Thank you.
Well, I'm personally very disappointed that she's not here. She's a huge part of the film, but of course, understand the cause. It's not just that she cannot promote the film, it's just that there was so much time and love put into this film by her and all the other actors that it's just a shame to not be able to celebrate it with them. But, hopefully soon enough, so long as everything is resolved, they'll be able to join us. And in terms of the awards, I really don't know what to say. I don't even know how it works and, what makes something eligible or not, or, if whatever may come.
Sì, e c'è una signora anche lì. Ecco, Ellen, raise your hands, otherwise nobody will see you.
Oh, hi. Hello. Congratulations, Peter. Absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy for you. What does it mean, getting this award? Is this the biggest award you've ever had, do you think? And Kaylee, hi.
Hi.
I'm Helen Barlow from Australia. And you mentioned when you got the award that you dedicated it to Priscilla. How close did you get to Priscilla while making the film?
You go first.
We only met in person a few times and then had multiple phone calls leading up to the filming. She was very generous with her time, and it was, a key part of trying to figure out how to play the role. And I'm very excited to win this award for the film and for her.
I guess for me, the importance of winning an award, it's nice to win an award. I mean, I can't imagine winning a more significant award than this. These types of awards always feel more special because time and effort was put in by a group of people that I respect to think about it and argue over it, versus a lot of other awards are kind of done, in my experience, by who your friends are. But I really want to put a light onto this film. I think it's a film that speaks in a whisper. I think awards help with movies like that. And I think it's got an enormous amount of humanity in it. So I think that's something that the world could use right now.
Sì, c'è anche una signora qui davanti. Andiamo con la signora, prego.
浜口さん、おめでとうございます。どのようにこの映画のタイトルを選んだんですか？
ありがとうございます。この映画のタイトルに関しては、この映画を撮るにあたって石橋英子さんの音楽にどのような映像をつけるかっていう、課題をまずいただきました。で、その音楽と合うようなモチーフっていうのを探していった時に自然っていうものを撮ることにもなりました。で、その自然を見ている時に自分の中にとても自然に浮かんだ言葉です。で、これはある一面真実だと思います。自然の中にはおそらく、暴力性みたいなものがあってもそこに悪意みたいなものを見出すことは難しいからです。で、一方でこの映画全体が本当に悪がいないっていうことを表現しているかというと、それは分からないとも思います。っていうのはここにはただ自然だけがあるわけではないからです。なので、このタイトルと映画の内容の緊張関係のようなものを楽しんでいただきたいと思って最終的にはつけました。
C'è una mano alzata lì, cominciamo da lì.
This is a question for Mrs. Holland. The Mostra decided to award two very political films. Hello?
Hello?
Hello,
Yes,
this is for you. The Mostra award two very political films. There is Io Capitano and then there is your film. So I wanted to ask you the same question. What reaction from Europe do you expect after your film? Thank you.
Well, it's something paradoxal being here with a movie like that. It means to be in a kind of the festival which uses the stars and red carpets and, nice dresses to celebrate the cinema. And in the same time, when we are on that occasion with a film about human's misery and about the cruelty of the politicians, of ordinary people, about the issue which I think will change the future of Europe very soon, and I'm afraid not in a very nice direction. And in the same time, you need that red carpet to attract some attention to the issue, to subject, and in the first place to those people I'm showing. I'm showing the migrants, I'm showing the activists, I'm showing the border guards who are designed to use the most terrible things to not allow the migrants to cross the border, and they are voiceless. They are voiceless not only because they are voiceless and don't have the platform, but because you don't want to listen to them. And when we have the occasion like the film festival, and if the film is true, honest, and efficient, and can touch even shock people's hearts, it helps, but we will not change the world with the movies. Not with one movie, not with two movies. We have to do something more. And what I expect from Europe, that the Europe will wake up. I think that is the very last moment.
I have a question for Mr. Laraine and Mr. Lantimos. Since both of your films deal somehow with figures that comes from Gothic traditions such as vampires and Frankenstein somehow, I would like to ask you, what do you think is the power of this archetypical figure as a narrative tool, even in stories that deals with contemporary issues and present days? Thank you.
The power of, I wanted to understand the question better when you started answering.
The power of archetypical figures, mythological figures.
Okay. Doesn't make it any easier. Well, I think it's a great vehicle so that you can invite people in with a slightly more open mind, I guess, and be able to accept more things that they would accept in the storytelling, as if you were telling a contemporary realistic film. And I think that's the main way that they work, I guess.
Well, I'll say that in our case, you know, we had a dictator for so many years, and he was just never really properly taken into a courthouse and never was condemned. And that impunity made him eternal, and that eternity felt right to a vampire. I think a vampire is a figure that comes from literature that's been used in all kind of audiovisual shapes and forms. And for us, it was very interesting. A lot of people in my country are very against the idea because they think that a vampire would never be a dictator or vice versa. And I think cinema can do that, can combine those elements, which is what we did. A romantic character turned into a horror dictator. Thank you.
C'è una domanda, prego.
So I have a question to Mr. Hamaguchi, because I just talked with your Japanese media friends. He said Hamaguchi in Japanese is very famous, but in art film, so I think you won so much of World International Film Prize. Is that it would be a pushing hand to the art film to develop in Japanese market? Because we know that animation film is very great, pay a great attention in Japanese market, but art film is like not mainstream. So what do you is your honor for film will be will be beneficial to the Japanese art film to develop in the future?
ありがとうございます。そんなに大きなことは語れないですけれども、この映画というのは、いわゆるそのアートハウス系の、映画であることは確かにそうだと思います。で、一方でもう一つあるのは、非常に小規模なチームで作られているということです。で、このように小規模なチームで作った映画が、このような評価をいただくっていうことは、映画制作の見方そのものを、変えるきっかけになり得るものだとは思います。果たして本当に、良い映画、それは何かっていう問題ありますけども、良い映画を撮るために必要なものは何なのかっていうことを見直すことが可能になると思います。アニメーションとか漫画の原作を使ったような映画っていうものが本当に実写の映画に向いているのか、もしくはそれにふさわしい予算が今日本にあるのかっていうことも疑問はあると思いますので、全く別のアプローチっていうものがあり得るっていうことをみんなが知ってそれを試してみるっていうことはとても大事なことなのではないだろうかというふうに思います。
Se non ci sono altre domande, ringraziamo i premiati e molte congratulazioni.
Surrounded by people I know.